me to hawk Kangen water. I don't sell Kangen water machines. The Enagic company doesn't call me up and say, come on, sell more of our machines. I know the people that run the company, but I don't do Enagic events. I mean by Super Saturdays or things like this that are sponsored Enagic events. I do private events. I do a lot of events that a lot of Kangen water people are involved in. And I do it because I believe in it. What's the number one thing we tell cancer patients to do? No, we don't tell them to do anything. The number one thing that we recommend that we would do if we had cancer like someone, gotta be careful with this stuff, is Kangen water. Well, we recommend the Relive too, but the Kangen water, because I do it because I researched it and I know the science behind it. And I know that if you guys are Kangen water drinkers, Kangen water distributors, you probably have a good grasp on the science behind this. That's the reason. I remember the first Kangen water meeting I went to about 11 years ago because I was trying to find what cancer patients could drink. As I walk into the grocery store and Gatorade, mineral water, bottled water, V8, full of chemicals, all of this stuff. I said, well, there's nothing here they can drink. I'm going to have to go find myself a spring, and bottle of water myself. And that's when someone said, you need to go listen to this. I go, okay, here's another one. And I did. I went and listened to it. And I said, wow. So I started to study it. I didn't buy a machine right away. I said, this is pretty interesting. I'm going to go take a look at this. And I research about everything. As if I wouldn't do it, I couldn't recommend that you do it. And so we do a lot of research. And I wanted to find out, why is this water good? You can tell me it's alkaline water, but you know what? I can put a spoonful or a quarter teaspoonful of baking soda in tap water and I got alkaline water. Doesn't mean it's any good for you. No, this is ionized water. It just happens to be alkaline. And, put your arms around this, you'll read it in the book. Healing is voltage, and voltage is equitable to pH and to alkalinity. And so we need to understand that. And your cells in your body are negatively charged, or they're supposed to be. And if they're not running at minus 25 to minus 50 millivolts, you're sick. And cancer patients and many others are running below that. So your body running at that voltage has very little capacity to build new cells or to heal those cells that are now sick. So what do we need to do? Raise the millivoltage. How would you raise a cell that needs 25 more millivolts? What's the fastest way to do that? It used to be eating organic vegetables because they're very high in pH and they're loaded with nutrients. But because of that pH, it's the best way, doing a lot of those, to raise your cell voltage and to raise the pH of your body. Your blood's always going to stay at the same pH because if it doesn't, you're going to die. So your blood, if it's not at about 7.35, somewhere in that range to 7.4, then you're going to die. So it'll rob pH from anywhere. It'll take it from your bones and from anywhere to maintain that. Why do we have osteoporosis? Our body starts to break down. So we need to raise that cell voltage. The best way in the world now to raise cell voltage is this. Can you imagine if this is running at minus 600 to minus 800, some don't get quite that high millivolts. Isn't that the best way if you're pouring that in your body to raise that cell voltage? It is by far. I mean, we learned about this from the Hunsakat people at the base of the Hindu Kush in the Himalayas. They drank glacier milk. What is glacier milk? And I know this to be true, if you went into a Hunsakat village up in the north of Pakistan, up in the mountains at 10,000 feet, and you got invited into the guy who runs the community, into his hut, he'd set 2 glasses of water in front of you. One would be clear, one would be gray and cloudy. Which one would you drink?
Gray and cloudy.
Gray and cloudy. That's the one I would drink. Why? Because it's ionized water. It's alkaline ionized water. What do you need to ionize water? You need minerals and you need power and water in the water. What happens when this pure water crashes down, when the snow melts, coming down the streams, down the mountains, under power, because it's rushing down the streams, it's picking up the minerals out of the sand and the rocks in the base. And so when the water reaches here, yeah, it's a little gray and cloudy, but it's very high alkaline, and it's running a high ORP, high negative ORP, because it's been ionized. That is the technology behind this in its simplest form. So the fastest way to bring up that cell voltage is by drinking Kangen water, by far. I've seen nothing else that remotely comes close. And I get people all the time saying, I have this machine, I know it's every bit as good, and it costs half the price. And I have to say, oh, really? Prove it. I have said, and I've gone on record, when someone shows me a machine that's as good as this one, I'll advertise it too. I've been saying that for 10 years. And there's not one. If there is, fine. I tell people to use it, but I have not found one that can compete. And I call it in the book the Rolls Royce of water ionizers. And everyone wants to compare their machine to this one. Ours does what theirs does for half the price. Well, no, it doesn't. We've run into several machines, and people have said that actually harm people because the plates begin to break down. And they've actually poisoned people. I don't want one of those machines. So, and you only need one of them. I mean, you can have more if you like. And some people have them all over the place because it works. What it does works. That high pH is the way to bring that cell voltage up. But it's also the way in that process to bring an acidic body, an inflamed body, back to alkaline. Remember that newborn baby? We want to smell like that again. That's what we want to be. And in order to do that, we need to do the things that allow us to get there. That's all the 5 things that we covered, but we need to drink this water. Now, I've seen people go to a Kangen water meeting. All the while they're watching the demo, they're drinking Kangen water. Some of them will drink a half a gallon or more while they're sitting there. Next day you call them up, how you doing? Sick as a dog, I'm never drinking that water again. I say, good. They don't understand the detox that goes on. So many people are so toxic, we talked about our livers and all, so toxic that when you start pouring good stuff in there, your body starts to detox immediately. And if you detox too fast, we call it a Herxheimer reaction. Your body reacts. And you could be nauseous, you could be headachy, you could be lethargic. All of these things could take place, and they do if you try and detox too rapidly. That's why generally, depending on the person, some people can just drink the 9.5 right out of the chute, 9.5 pH. Other people, they got to start low at the 8.5 and work their way up. What about the 11.5? What do you think? Magic Company says don't drink it. Just watch your vegetables in it, right? Well, you should do that. First time I did that, I went, what? I put all my vegetables that I just bought at the store in a big sink full of 11.5 pH water, and I left it there for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I came back and I pulled them all out and I looked at the water and I said, what's that? Somebody pee in the water? It was dark yellow. Those were all the pesticides and herbicides that came off the produce. Wow. Did I say something? Oh, okay.
So is it okay to drink a lot of the L5, 1.5?
I was getting there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, good. I'm glad. Yeah.
Like someone told me, oh, you can't do that.
Yeah, I had to leave you in suspense because a lot of people say, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not going to tell you to drink the 11.5 water, okay? Would I drink it? Oh, absolutely. And I have. I've drunk a lot of it. And we have seen that this is what often turns late-stage cancer patients. Because we're rebuilding the cells. Remember, we're lifting that cell voltage. We're alkalinizing an acidic body. we're pouring this water that doesn't stay in your stomach. It zooms out as fast as it can. It probably starts absorbing in your mouth and in your throat into the cells. It's because of that low rate of cells glomming onto each other, and it reduces the rouleau in your blood. Anyone know what that is? You ever see a picture of someone's blood where all the red blood cells start sticking together? They don't function as well. They don't carry oxygen as well, and you struggle and suffer with that. Gee, I've seen pictures of after people drank Kangen water, and guess what? The cells separate, especially the 11.5. They separate. Well, what happens when you put 11.5 into fats, into oils? Doesn't it emulsify those oils? So it makes sense that to the rouleau in your blood, it will separate those cells that want to stick together, and it will better oxygenate your body. I mean, there's so many things, so many benefits, let's say, of drinking this water, and I can't think of a reason not to. I can only think of more and more reasons. But to go further on the answer to the question on the 11.5, no, we don't recommend anyone drink it. We just say that, well, if I was in your situation, this is what I would do. And if I was a stage 3 or stage 4 cancer patient, I'd be drinking it. And Louise taught me this. I'm not going to tell you her last name. Louise was a lady in her 70s who went to her chiropractor and said, well, doc, this is the last time I'm going to get to see you. And he says, well, why? She says, well, I've just been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And the doctor gave me a maximum of 90 days, and he told me to get my affairs in order. And he says, oh, gee, I'm sorry for that. I wish you'd have come and seen me earlier about this. And she says, why? He says, well, I've got some water I want you to try. And she says, well, I don't know. I guess I got nothing to lose. I will. So she started drinking the 9.5 water and started to feel a little bit better. And she says, is this the strongest stuff you got? He says, well, no, we have the 11.5, but no one recommends that you drink that. That's for da-da-da-da-da. And she says, I got 90 days to live. What do I have to lose? She started drinking a gallon a day. 120 days, there was no cancer in her body. Her son had called her during that period saying he had just returned from the doctor. He had stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. Doctor says, I'm going to die. I verified these stories, incidentally. These aren't just old myths. And she says, hold it. Hold where you are. I'm coming down to see you. And he was in Southern California. She packed up her machine. She went down to Southern California. They both drank the water. 90 days, he was back to work. No cancer in his body. So, no, I'm not going to tell you to drink this water. I'm going to tell you that I would. And if I were a stage 3 or stage 4 cancer patient, I would drink it, and I would drink lots of it. Normally, what we say is start out slowly, starting with, if you're up to the 9.5 and drinking a lot of 9.5, you want to get more and more as you can, then start drinking about 4 ounces 3 times a day of the 11.5, and the rest in 9.5. And then every 2 or 3 days, these are for people who are worried about Herxheimer's or detox reactions. And when you have stage 3 or 4 cancer patients, they're very sick and very toxic. And so we try and start them more slowly. If there's a Herxheimer reaction, we'll back off a little bit, but we'll increase by another 4 ounces about every 2 or 3 days, or whatever can be tolerated, until we get to drinking all 11.5 all day. And if you can get to a gallon, it's better. If you can't, get to what you can get to. Do it for 90 days. And then in 90 days, we revisit it. We've never seen anyone harmed by taking something this high a pH. 11.5 is a high pH because it is 100 times more alkaline than the 9.5 water. But I have seen cancer patients use cesium chloride. Cesium is a mineral, and this isn't the radioactive cesium.